Story 1. Not me, but a friend was seen as effeminate because he was interested in sewing. I am sorry, but the most masculine trait is practicality, and sewing is one of the most practical skills to have at virtually any point in history. Story 2. I was engaged to a woman and my coworkers knew. I was at a work event and started talking to a man who was clearly gay. We talked about philosophy and I thought he was a cool person. I said that if I ever read the book we were discussing, I would love to talk about it with him over coffee, though I might not read it anytime soon. I had just graduated from college, where getting coffee with someone did not mean anything. You did it when you wanted a conversation. Apparently everyone thought I had asked him out. I can see where they were coming from, but I just wanted to talk about Wittgenstein with someone who had read him if I ever read him. Story 3. My girlfriend started laughing when I crossed my legs because she thought it looked very gay. It was the full straight guy pose, legs spread in a T-shape. Story 4. When I was in 8th grade, I was beaten for wearing a plain purple t-shirt. People said only gay men wore that. Years later, I realized I was gay. It had nothing to do with my shirt. Who would have thought? Story 5. I was taking prescription-strength painkillers after surgery. My friend came over to check on me. Her ex-boyfriend said taking painkillers was unmanly and told me to be a man. Story 6. Eating bananas, hot dogs, popsicles, string cheese, using a straw, hugging other men, touching feminine hygiene products. This one kills me. Letting your 3-year-old daughter do your hair, makeup, and nails. Story 7. Apparently going out for Mexican food and margaritas with your friend. No one said it directly, but the waitress gave us a complimentary dessert for 2 and said happy anniversary. Free dessert is free dessert, I guess. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. Pays to be pseudo-gay. Story 8. Wear pink or similar colors. It is definitely my color. Story 9. As a helicopter pilot, I have a checklist. We all have checklists. Even though I have a shorter version, it is still many pages, so I bought some page markers and labeled the important pages like startup, shutdown, refuel, emergencies, and whatever. Good idea, right? I misplaced that checklist in an aircraft I had not seen in a while and asked some of the more senior pilots if they had seen it. One of them responded, "Oh, the one with all the colorful page markers?" And the others laughed. If being convenient is considered flamboyant, then I suppose I am flamboyant. Edit. First award ever. Thank you so much to the anonymous person and to this Threads community for all the upvotes. I have assured my wife that newfound fame will not go to my head and turn me into a crazed celebrity. Story 10. 1980s kid here. Anything involving showing emotion, wearing clothing that is not in muted colors, saying something is cute, getting excited about hobbies, calling your male friends to talk, crying, airing everyday grievances, washing your buttocks, using lotion for anything other than masturbation, or shaving anything other than your face and neck is gay. Story 11. At work, I once complimented another man on his outfit. My male coworkers looked at me as if I had asked to see nude photos of him. Story 12. Once a girl thought I was gay because I was attentive during sex. I am not even joking. Story 13. Not exactly that's gay, but a man talked down to me once for using the word craving because he said cravings are something only women get. Story 14. When I was in high school, everyone thought I was gay because I wore a scarf to school one day. Scarves are not gay. It was a gift from my great-grandmother, and it was during the winter in Pennsylvania. Story 15. I'm a gay man. I enjoy playing the piano and used to be told it was very gay in middle school. Now when I see how many straight men attract women because they can play an instrument, I laugh. Story 16. I have been told that wearing a mask or personal protective equipment in general is gay. Story 17. Drinking out of a straw makes sucking dick feel normal. That's how you turn gay. There is a massive Venn of those that enjoy a penis in their mouth and really dislike plastic straws. Good for you guys. Story 18. The strangest one I have heard is that 2 men cannot drive around in a convertible with the top down. Another is that 2 men cannot sit next to each other in a movie theater if it is not crowded. Story 19. Having a child with my wife is gay. Taking care of my child, being a good father, and enjoying time with them as my main goals are somehow gay. changing diapers, having heterosexual sex, and dealing with the consequences are apparently gay. It doesn't make any sense at all. Story 20. A friend and I used to be like Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber. We were always getting in trouble, skipping class on my scooter, going out to eat, buying groceries, and taking long rides out of the city because the air was so fresh where few people lived. My friend later told me he had heard a rumor that because we were always together, people assumed we were gay. We laughed it off and went to have our Hot Pockets. Story 21. A friend told me I am holding my fork in a gay kind of way. Sorry for my grammar. English is not my first language. Story 22. My girlfriend once asked me if I was gay because I said I liked her body. Safe to say she had some issues. Story 23. I broke a guy's jaw in high school and sent him a get well card while he was in the hospital. He called me gay for sending the card. Story 24. I was told I was gay because I enjoyed anal sex with a woman. They said that if I had anal sex with a woman, then I would have anal sex with a man. You like oral sex, do you not? If you let a woman perform oral sex on you, you would also let a man perform oral sex on you. You kiss your girlfriend too, right? Need I say more? Story 25. I was at a party with my girlfriend and my siblings, minding my own business while drinking sparkling water. My brother-in-law said, "Dude, are you drinking sparkling water? That's so gay." I pointed at my girlfriend. My brother-in-law was silent. I replied, "Look, I'm sorry, but you're not my type, and you're with my sister." Several months earlier, I was at a gay bar ordering a sparkling water. The bartender, extremely smug, said, "Really? Sparkling water? You must be straight. Why does drinking sparkling water make people assume my sexuality?" Story 26. My friend had sex with my other gay friend and said to me, "I am straight, but one time I had sex with him and he was getting so into it. It was funny." Story 27. On one occasion, my female friend was very drunk, and I refused to have sex with her. She and my male friends called me gay that night. Story 28. I am a Brazilian living in the United States. I do not understand why Speedo swimwear is associated with gay culture. Story 29. My husband was told he was gay because he was reading Sunstone, an adult comic series based on a kinky lesbian relationship. Story 30. Two of my friends from high school died in a car accident a week before graduation. Everyone in my class attended the funeral, and some of my classmates were crying a lot. I hugged one of them to comfort him. He was one of my closest friends, a guy from the popular group who was always doing stupid things to get attention, came up to me, touched my back, and shouted, "Dude, I didn't know you liked dick," laughing. He was escorted out of the funeral and probably lost most of his friends. Story 31. I sit with my legs crossed. My brothers and friends often teased me and couldn't understand how that's possible, unless I was gay or had a very small penis and testicles or none at all. I just like it because it's comfortable and lets me relax one leg at a time. Story 32. I was about to go on a date with a girl when my friend, whom I did not know was gay, told me I should not go because it would be gay. Story 33. Roller skating was gay all of a sudden. If you had a piercing in the right ear, you were gay. Anything dance-related. Story 34. My mom told me to stop complaining about my migraine because that's not very straight of you. Story 35. When I was little, someone told me to check my nails. Apparently, if you make a half fist and turn your hand so you can look at your nails, it means you are straight. If you hold your hand up like you are about to give someone a high five, it means you are gay. Kids are weird. Story 36. I will admit that I was the perpetrator in this case. When I was very young, around 8 or 9, I believed that eating strawberries was kind of gay. Update. Your comments made me realize we should probably have a poll to decide whether strawberries are actually gay. Second update. Go to the subreddit Is It Gay and vote. Someone already did. Story 37. It was not my parents but society that made me believe men should not hug their friends. 20 years later, my 6'3" biker friend is big on hugs. Story 38. I have a casual button-down shirt that is pinkish, coral, or salmon. It is more salmon, which I mentioned in the story. I like the shirt because of its fit and material. No one has said anything bad about it. I have received about 2 compliments in the 8 years I have owned it. One day, a man started making fun of me for wearing a pink shirt. I thought he was joking, so I replied, "Actually, it's a lovely salmon, possibly with a lemon or honey glaze." He then called me homosexual for recognizing salmon as a color and describing it in culinary terms. I do not know how to cook. I ordered it at a restaurant once and loved it. Fuck them, though. One of the women I dated loved the shirt. Edit 1. Goodness, this exploded. I'm blushing, everyone. My cheeks are coral with embarrassment. Edit 2. I am not Ross, and yes, it is similar to an episode of Friends where the same thing happened to Ross. I think that joke should be on a break. Story 39. I hugged my best friend. We do not do the handshake hug over one shoulder and pat on the back. We embrace. Some people call that gay, but we do not care. We enjoy each other. The other day we went whitewater rafting, and at one point we lay on our backs and floated down a calm part of the river while holding hands. I cannot argue with that one. It is a little gay. Still do not care. We had a good day. I like how the bromance between my best friend and me became my most upvoted comment. Thanks for the awards. I cannot respond to everyone, but 1. Yes, we are gay otters. I do not mind that label. 2. To those who think that enjoying each other is the gayest part of this post, what world do you live in where you do not enjoy your friends? Or what world do you live in where your masculinity would be compromised by merely mentioning that you enjoy being around another man? 3. To anyone who wishes they could be more open with their best friend or friends, you can. Do not worry if someone might think you are in a relationship. You should not care, because your best friend is great. You are lucky to have each other. Story 40. I was unable to lift more than a girl. I was 7 and she was about 30. Story 41. My granddad once told me not to brush my hair because looking pretty is for women and gay people. Fuck you, buddy. I want to look nice and not like I am chasing hedgehogs through a fucking bush, you unwashed heathen. Story 42. I am not a guy, but I sang in the high school chorus. People often assumed the chorus members were gay. They were not, and most had amazing voices. I would ask those people who their favorite band was. It was always a male-dominated group, and I enjoyed watching their surprise when I asked whether the lead singer was gay. Story 43. Not that I have been told not to do it, but I know a man who refuses to perform oral sex on women because he says it is gay. To clarify, he believes performing oral sex is an act of sexual submission and that only gay men are sexually submissive. This is utterly stupid. He has had the same girlfriend for over a decade, on and off. They are both crack addicts and extremely codependent. Probably the 2 most dysfunctional people I have ever met. I would like to note that many top-level comments in that thread are examples of toxic masculinity. Story 44. If an alcoholic drink does not taste bitter or burn your throat, people call it penis in a glass. Editor note. People say that if they have to be gay to drink a particular beverage, they will be gay. My personal strategy has been to transition. I am technically no longer a straight man of Reddit. Plot twist. I am now a gay trans woman, but it is supposedly very straight of me to drink the same drinks. Make up your minds. Story 45. A friend of mine once complained that no one looked manly while drinking from a straw. Story 46. I told a man I liked his wristwatch. He flipped out, called me gay, and stormed out of the bathroom without flushing the urinal. Story 47. I used to cry a lot as a child and was bullied for it. The adults in my life all agreed crying made me weak, and one in particular, a secretary at my elementary school, said it made me seem gay and feminine and that this was why I was being bullied. The reality is I was probably depressed after recently moving across the country away from my family. I was often lonely, so I could not handle even small amounts of rejection or teasing. Please do not tell children not to cry. Talk to them about their feelings so the source of their sadness can be addressed, not just the symptom. I still struggle to process basic emotions because I spent so much time repressing them for reasons like this. Story 48. I am bisexual, but most of my family does not know. A few years ago, I was helping my dad repair a hay baler and standing by while he greased something under the machine. My hands were on my hips. My uncle pulled up in his truck and rolled down the window. He shouted, "Take your hands off your hips. It makes you look queer." My dad got out from under the baler and yelled back at my uncle, "I would rather have a queer helping me than a lazy ass like you." My uncle shut up and drove off. Story 49. With all the things men cannot do while straight, I think I would rather be gay. Sounds like gay men have more fun, according to this thread. Story 50. I have a friend who is bisexual. She married a man. Before her wedding, her mother reminded her that some members of her family were Jehovah's Witnesses and less tolerant of homosexuality, and asked her not to act gay. I am not sure how you can act gay at your wedding when you are marrying someone of the opposite gender. Her maid of honor was a lesbian, and my husband and I, both men, attended, so her bigoted aunts had to put up with our existence anyway. Story 51. I'm not a man, but I once told my then boyfriend that I needed to find a gynecologist in the area. He replied, "I know I have no say in who you see, but I'd really prefer you pick a male gynecologist because they're all gay for obvious reasons." I'm still trying to understand how looking at vaginas all day makes you gay. I remember that conversation whenever I think of the male obstetrician gynecologist who delivered my daughter, a man who is extremely proud of his wife and their 4 children. It would have blown my ex's mind. Story 52. When I was young, a couple of friends refused to be seen with me if I wore a red t-shirt because they thought wearing red was gay. Story 53. I went to cheer camp. I was the school mascot and thought it would be awesome to be a straight guy around girls who were barely clothed. When I said that, people had to seriously reconsider what they thought was gay. Also, when I used to look at porn, apparently wanting the guy to be younger and somewhat attractive was gay. Being a theater tech felt kind of gay, but only for musicals. Getting really excited about hobbies is gay. This one upsets me most. I didn't think it was gay. I just lost interest because of all the stupid comments. It's only now, as I'm almost 30, that I finally love having some great hobbies. Story 54. I love fruity drinks. They are delicious and can intoxicate you quickly. Story 55. Washing my anus. A friend of mine once said that everyone knows that is uncool. Count me out. Apparently you are only allowed to wash your cheeks and let the suds run down your butt crack. Any direct contact with your own anus and you will be judged for it. Thank you for the upvotes and awards. I have never gotten more than about 20 before, so I was shocked and glad this resonated with so many. Story 56. I worked at Victoria's Secret for a summer. I was trying to speed up the process of finding a girlfriend and decided to work in an environment with many women, but apparently some people thought that was inappropriate. Story 57. I had girls as friends in primary school. Many of my male friends called that gay. Now who's laughing? I'm the only guy invited to girls' slumber parties, and I'm bisexual. Story 58. A man told me masturbation was gay. He said, "You are jacking off a bloke, even if that bloke is you." I replied that it must be incest as well, since it involves a man who is part of your immediate family. He thought that was crazy talk. Story 59. I love my fiancé. Apparently, having feelings for someone of the opposite sex was considered gay. These were older men who were always saying, "I hate my wife," or "Once you're married, you'll hate her." I truly don't understand how people get like that. If loving my fiancé is gay, then I'm the biggest queer in the world. Story 60. My cousin described his shoes as comfy. My dad suspected he was gay for several years. Story 61. When our physical education teacher checked whether we had cut our nails, boys showed their palms upward with knuckles bent, while girls simply showed their palms facing downward. If you did the opposite, you were called gay. Our teacher sensed something was off and made everyone show their palms down. Story 62. My mom walked in on me shaving my armpits and promptly told my dad how gay it was. Story 63. I worked with a man from Somalia who had unusual views. He told me I was gay for putting on chapstick and brought it up at least once a week for months. Story 64. An old man told me I was gay because I wore shorts. His exact words were, "You want people to see your legs," like some homophobic slur. Story 65. My stepdad told my husband that it was gay to use a straw. Story 66. At the age of 22, during Obama's re-election, my dad told me that voting for him would turn me into a homosexual. Plot twist. My dad is white and my mom is black. Story 67. When I was in the army, the following things were considered gay. 1. Not hitting on every woman I met. 2. Asking for help. 3. Being single for longer than a month. 4. Ordering any mixed drink. 5. Showing any emotion. 6. Listening to a non-popular music genre. 7. Reading a book. 8. Sneezing too quietly. 9. Having friends who were not straight. 10. Not bashing gay people. I could probably list about 200 more. The effective rule of thumb was, if it did not explicitly seem hypermasculine, it was considered gay. Story 68. It was my brother. He was about 15 at the time. We went to the mall and he bought something that came in a paper bag. Instead of holding the handles, he rolled the bag and held it by the top because he thought using the handles would be embarrassing. I told him that was ridiculous, but he did it anyway for the rest of the trip. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.